Hello dear learner, I welcome you to the lecture 1 of week 3 and the topic of this week is Frankfurt School of Critical Theory, and today in this lecture we will be studying about Herbert Marcuse. The week 1 we have already studied the various significance of the critical traditions, and especially we have studied the meaning of critical theory and also the importance of critical theory. And in this lecture we will again try to just revise and remember what we mean by critical theory and how do we place Herbert Marcuse as one of the most prominent philosopher and thinker in the critical theory group or the Frankfurt School. Now, what is critical theory? If you remember, then it involves analyzing and critiquing society to try to make it better by combining philosophical ideas with practical social analysis. So, it is not simply making a critique, but also analyzing. And analyzing what? And critiquing what? The unequal conditions in the society, raising voices against exploitation, asking questions about the various oppressive practices. And the third objective is to make it better or to transform it. And this it does by combining philosophical ideas with practical social analysis. So, it combines theory with practice, and we have seen that it provides the normative basis for bringing about changes in the society. Specifically, critical theory refers to the work of thinkers from the Frankfurt School. And we know that Frankfurt School constitute a group of philosophers and social theorists in Europe in 1930s. Now, this school focused on interdisciplinary research, blending philosophy with social science with the goal of promoting emancipation or freedom. Now, we have already discussed in our lecture 1 and 2 of the week 1, where we were discussing about the critical theory, origin of critical theory and its significance. Here I have mentioned some of the important features of critical theory. There we have studied that if we want to understand exploitation and oppressive practices in the society, we have to understand it from an interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary perspective. Then we have to combine philosophy with social sciences. We cannot make it separate. And also we have to combine theory with practice, because only theoretical formulation will not help in the emancipation of those who are subdued. There is also need for praxis or practice, so that the ultimate objective of transforming the society takes place. Now, the first generation of Frankfurt School thinkers who were closely associated with this school since its foundation and in its initial years were Max Horkheimer, Theodor Adorno, Herbert Marcuse, whom we are studying, Walter Benjamin, while the second generation is led by Jürgen Habermas. Now, critical theory has branched out beyond the Frankfurt School, spanning various other movements like feminist theory, then critical race theory, queer theory and the post-colonial that is decolonial theory. So, this has now become a large canvas of critical traditions. It includes the ecological movement also. It includes the Enlightenment tradition also, if we try to find out its root, or if we try to search the essence of critical tradition, then we know that we can find its essence even during the time of Socrates. So, therefore, the canvas or the umbrella of critical tradition is very, very vast, very broad in nature, and it has included within its fold, besides the foundational, that is the Frankfurt school with which the critical theory is primarily associated. Now, we have a vast envelope of different type of tradition which has critiqued the oppressive and unjust practices from multifarious perspectives. Now, what have been the critique of classical Marxism? Now, let us try to understand some of the critique of classical Marxism. Marx's economic theory predicted the impoverishment of the working class and the eventual rise of proletariat due to competition with the capitalism, because the workers will become so poor, so impoverished that they have to rise in revolt against the capitalist system. However, capitalism evolved differently than Marx anticipated, as capitalists made various strategic decisions to improve the workers' living standards, thus easing social tensions and creating a market for goods. In order to maintain their hold and to strengthen their position, now the capitalist system do not use the traditional methods, but they have started using various new methods, or these have been termed as the various strategic decisions, and these decisions are aimed at improving the conditions of the proletariat. So, we find that the analysis of the working of the capitalist system in classical Marxism is very different, and the way in which the capitalist system has evolved over the years and the way it is functioning has has come a long way. Now, it is taking various important decisions to improve the workers' living conditions, and thereby it is easing various tensions and conflicts between the proletariat and the capitalist, and it is also creating a market for the goods, where the proletariats can go and purchase and they can have a better standard of living. Now, the structure of capitalism has become more intricate with the emergence of the public ownership through the stock market and the rise of a new class, that is the technical class, due to advancement in manufacturing technology. In other words, now there are so many other classes in the society besides the two class which was analyzed or which was explained by Karl Marx. Now, besides the so called proletariat and the bourgeois, we are also having another class, that is the middle class, which is quite large in number. How to account for this class, where to place them in the so called class conflict which was given by or understood by Marx's theory. So, now we have so many new classes which are in existence because of the rise of the manufacturing technology, and the ownership is also very different. Now, we have, instead of private ownership, now we have a type of public ownership through the stock market, where even a very ordinary citizen can own shares of a company even though the size of the share may be small. So, this public ownership is a new type of system which was not explained or which was not traditional understanding of Marxism. It could not visualize that such type of system may emerge in future. Now, societal stratification became blurred as a result of these changes. Now, we cannot have a very clear cut the compartmentalization of society. Now, the stratification is much more diverse and complex in nature, and because of the specialization of functions, now we have more specialized jobs, therefore, more classes and groups in the society. Additionally, the liberal democracies started managing the national economies, leading to market stabilization and the apparent end of the boom and the bust cycle. What does that mean? It means that when the interference of the state was much less in the economic affairs, then there were times when the economy passed through the cycle of boom. That means it was making lots of progress, and therefore there was rise in employment, rise in productivity and the availability of goods for the consumers. But there were times, because of the forces of the market, there were times of bust when the economy was performing very low, and it led to loss of employment, fall in the income level, and also it led to the shortage of goods in the market. So, this type of uncertainties were now reduced because of the external management done by the liberal state in the economic system, which led to somewhat a stability in the market forces or market relations, and it also helped in a way easing the various problems which the proletariats used to face when they were under a complete market economy. Industrial capitalism's oppressive nature appeared to diminish as societies transitioned towards a more egalitarian, consumer based model, fueled by improving living standards. You see the type of developments which have been taking place, and how these developments reduce the revolutionary zeal of the workers, and it has helped in integrating the workers with the capitalist economy. And the most important thing which happened is that it diminished the oppressive nature of the capitalists, which was earlier very apparent and visible. And it happened because of the establishment or development of a more egalitarian, consumer based model. Egalitarian means equality, and a consumer based model where the emphasis is on consumption. So, on the one hand there was rise in the living standards of the people, on the other hand there was availability of consumer goods. So, it promoted a sense of a habit or an addiction of consumerism, and that in a way improved the living standards. It in a way helped in fulfilling the desires of the individual. Now, what is Marcuse's take on the failure of classical Marxism? How did he view these failures? Marcuse, in his work An Essay on Liberation, which was published in the year 1969, suggests that capitalism manipulates people's desire to favor mass consumption over genuine human development. So, this capitalist society, with the advancement in technology and the resultant rise of production, it led to the proliferation of the consumerist behavior. And this, promotion of mass consumption over the genuine human development, it has also led to removing the urge or the zeal to participate in any type of revolutionary activities. Marcuse believed that while capitalism has become more oppressive, it now employs various subtler methods by shaping our values. So, on the one hand, Marcuse argues that the system of capitalist production has become more and more oppressive, and it is more so because now there are various indirect means and various subtle means by which the capitalists are trying to exploit the proletariats, and these they are doing it by shaping our values with the help of ideology, with the help of the manipulation of our mind. By inculcating certain thought processes, they try to manipulate and they try to shape our values, and in a way they are in the process of manufacturing consent. Modern capitalist economies rely on excessive production and consumption, which creates artificial needs among the citizens. Now, creation of artificial needs has been another important development which is associated with the advancement of capitalism. Because of the increase or the mass increase in the production, followed by an excessive consumptive behavior, it created artificial needs, and moreover artificial needs were created by the media images, by the advertisements, and the objective was to sell more and more products and to encourage the addiction towards consumerism among the citizens. Now, this creation of artificial needs and the dependence and the consistent dependence of the individuals to crave and strive to satisfy these needs have led to the dilution of the revolutionary instinct of the individuals. Now, the society is conditioned to constantly desire the latest products and innovation, thus perpetuating a cycle of consumption. So, this continuous cycle of consumption is accompanied by creating a continuous carving, a desire to have the latest products, and we have already studied in our theories of alienation that how a person becomes alienated from his own self when he becomes addicted to certain goods or certain habits. And we have seen that excessive pursuit for money also alienates an individual from his own self. Now, this process of alienation is a byproduct of this modern society or the evil effect of modern society. Now, this conditioning extends to associating the personal worth with material possessions, fueled by advertising and the myth that economic success equals happiness. Now, we can say that these are all the negative effects or the negative impact of the capitalist model of production or the negative developments associated with the process of modernism. And one of the most important negative or deleterious effect on the human worth is that now it is being equated with the material possessions. Now, we are evaluating the individual's worth and value in terms of money, because in one of our lectures on critical tradition, we have discussed that the role or the value associated with money has become so omnipotent, so it has become so important that it has sidelined all other human values in the society. And the belief is that if one has money, he can purchase, sell and throw away anything at his whims and desires. And how that has led to wastage of resources in the society. Moreover, when an individual tries to purchase goods or consumes goods not according to his need but according to his greed, then he is getting alienated from his own self. Because though he or she is purchasing more and more goods for consumption, but in reality he is not consuming them to satisfy his basic needs, because they are not his real needs, they are his artificial needs. So, therefore, in reality, in spite of having a lots of goods for consumption, he is still not satisfied. He is in craving for more and more. So, that also creates a source of alienation. And one of the important reasons for alienation, when we try to equate the economic success with happiness. Happiness, which is considered an innate quality of human being, has come to be associated with the money worth one possesses. Now, the educational system also reinforces this type of conditioning by preparing the young people for a lifestyle centered around consumption and production. Unfortunately, along with the mass media, we find that the mass education is also promoting a particular type of habit or lifestyle amongst the youth, which is centered around consumption or production or as per the needs and requirements of market economy. Now, Marcuse views these manufactured needs as chains that binds individuals to the capitalist system, blinding them to true freedom and human essence. Now, this is very important because these manufactured needs are, as I have just explained, are not our real needs. They are in fact a type of greed which is getting manifested in the form of those manufactured needs. These are in fact our chains that bind individual to the capitalist system. Now, I think this analysis is very important to understand that why the youth or the proletariat in the capitalist society, in the Western capitalist society, are not thinking about raising voices, or they are not thinking about revolting against the capitalist. And the reason is that now they are binded by chains, and these chains bind the individuals to the capitalist system, and these are the chains of consumerism. These are the chains of our addiction to consume more and our dependence on the capitalist economy to satisfy our ever increasing need. Therefore, we are getting blinded to the true meaning of freedom and autonomy. Though in the present society we may feel that we are autonomous and we are having the right to exercise our choices, but the reality is that our choices and our right to autonomy is manipulated by the influences, by the various influences of mass media. So, we are not free, though we may be thinking that we are exercising free choices, but we are only exercising the choices which are given to us by the external agencies. Marx viewed workers as completely detached from the benefits of their labor until they had nothing left to lose, whereas Marcuse sees them as integrated into the society, influenced by manufactured values and needs. So, now there is a very important difference between Marx and Marcuse. Marx said that the workers are tied to the capitalist system until they are impoverished to such an extent that they have nothing left to lose. Whereas Marcuse considers the workers here to be integrated into the capitalist system. And this integration is because of the fact that they are influenced by manufactured values and needs. So, it is not only the needs, but also the values which are manufactured, or the ideological indoctrination which is taking place at multiple levels in the society. Even if a revolution were to occur in this context, Marcuse doubts its success because workers are preoccupied with acquiring material possessions aligned with consumption based values. Now, this is a very alarming development, and that explains why there is no call for change and revolution by the proletariat class. With the material conditions of the capitalist society, and they are so involved with satisfaction of their needs, they are so addicted to consumerism that they have no time to revolt and raise questions. So, therefore, Marcuse has raised question about the success of revolution even if it occurs in any society. Marcuse argues that for meaningful change to happen, there must be a shift in consciousness initiated externally and then transferred to the working class. And I think this is the most important element if we are talking about revolution. For any revolution or change or transformation to take place, there is need for change in consciousness or there is need for an awareness. Without that, we cannot ask for change, we cannot raise questions, we cannot fight injustices. And these consciousness has to be initiated externally, because to change the consciousness we have to give external inducement, and then after it is getting inculcated into the working class, they can be aware of their positions and then they can think of making changes in the society. Contrary to orthodox Marxist thinking, which prioritizes economic change to influence consciousness, Marcuse suggested that altering consciousness must precede any significant transformation in economic relation. So, it is a consciousness which precedes the existence and not the existence which precedes the consciousness. It is just the inversion of the Marxist theory, because they believe that it is only by changing the consciousness, by changing our thought processes, by inculcation of new ideas or counter narratives, that we can raise our voice, we can challenge the economic system. Therefore, for making any meaningful changes and transformation in the economic relation, there is need for first altering the consciousness. And here we find that there is an important difference between Marcuse and Karl Marx. Marx believed that economic relations determine the ideology, while Marcuse asserts that the changing consciousness is essential before economic relations can be transformed. Here also we find the inversion of Marxist analysis, because Marx believed that it is the economic system which will determine the ideology of any state, whereas Marcuse asserts that only by changing the consciousness we can bring about meaningful changes or even changes in the economic relationship in the society. So, with this I come to the end of this lecture, followed by some questions like: what are the failures of classical Marxism? What is Herbert Marcuse's take on the failure of classical Marxism? So, with that I come to the end of lecture 1. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much.